Good morning, friends. Myself, Dr. Nidhi Darbari on My Education Treasure. In my previous video on Indian Schools of Philosophy, I had discussed about four orthodox schools of philosophy: Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, and Vaisheshik. In this video, I am going to discuss about the remaining two orthodox schools, Mimansa and Vedanta, and three heterodox schools, Charvaka, Jain, and Buddhist philosophy. Indian philosophy or Hindu philosophy is generally classified broadly into two: six Astic or Orthodox or Classical school of Indian philosophy, also called Shat Darshan, is divided into six: Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Purv and Uttar or Vedanta. The three Gnostic or heterodox school of Indian philosophy are Charvak, Jainism, and Buddhism. Almost all Indian schools of thought accepted the theory of karma and rebirth, and the ideal of moksha is conceived as liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Moksha or liberation is considered the highest goal of human struggle. However, medieval philosophers like Vidyaranya classify Indian philosophy into 16 schools, where schools belonging to Saiva, Panini, and Aseswar thoughts are included with others, and the three Vedantic schools, Advait, Vishisht Advait, and Dvait, are classified separately. In the Vedic history, the distinction of six orthodox schools was current in the Gupta period or the golden age of Vedism. With the disappearance of Vaisheshik and Mimansa, it was obsolete by the later Middle Ages, when the various sub-schools of Vedanta, that is Dvait, dualism, Advait, Vedanta or non-dualism, and others began to rise to prominence as the main division of religious philosophy. Nyaya survived into 17th century as Navvinyaya or Neo Nyaya, while Sankhya philosophy gradually lost its status as an independent philosophy, its tenets absorbed into Yoga and Vedanta. The basic difference between the two branches of Hindu philosophy is said to be based on the recognition of the Ved. Orthodox school recognize the authority of Ved, while heterodox school don't believe in the authority of Ved. Out of the nine systems, eight are atheistic as there is no place of God in them. Only Uttar Mimansa, which is called Vedant, has place of God in it. Purv Mimansa philosophy. Purv examines the teaching of the Ved in the light of Karma Kand rituals, that is, Karma Mimansa system is called Purv Mimamsa, or briefly Mimansa, lays emphasis on the performance of yajna for attaining various spiritual and worldly benefits. Hence, this philosophy relies on the Brahma and Samhita part of the Vedas. The main objective of Purv Mimamsa school was to establish the authority of Ved. Consequently, this school most valuable contribution to Hinduism was its formulation of the rules of Vedic interpretation. Its adherents propounded unquestionable faith in the Ved and regular performance of the yajna or fire sacrifices. They believed in the power of the mantra and yajna to sustain all the activity of the universe. In keeping with this belief, they placed great emphasis on dharma, which consisted of performance of Vedic rituals. The Mimansa philosophy accepted the logical and philosophical teaching of the other schools, but they felt that they need not sufficiently emphasize attention to right actions. They believed that the other schools of thought that aimed for release or moksha were not allowed for complete freedom from desire and selflessness, because their very striving for liberation stemmed from a simple desire to be free. According to Mimamsa thought, only by acting in accordance with the prescriptions of the Veda may one attain salvation. The Mimansa school later shifted its views and began to teach the doctrines of Brahma and freedom. Its adherents then advocated the release or escape of the soul from its constraint through enlightened activity. Although Mimansa does not receive much scholarly attention, its influence can be felt in the life of the practicing Hindu because all Hindu ritual, ceremonies, and law is influenced by this school, the Vedanta or later Mimansa school. Etymologically, Vedanta means the last segment of knowledge in the Ved. It is also known as Gyan or knowledge, Kand or section, while the earlier segments of the Vedas are called Karma Kand. Parts of Vedas that focus on spiritual practices such as worship, devotion, and meditation are called Upasana Kand. The Vedant or later Mimansa school concentrates on the philosophical teachings of the Upanishad rather than the ritualistic injunctions of the Brahman. Vedant says that the world is unreal, Maya. Vedant is monistic. In other words, it says that there is only one reality, Brahma. Vedant lays emphasis on Brahma Gyan, hence relies on the Upanishad part of the Ved. Vedant has its roots in Sankhya philosophy, while the traditional Vedic rituals continue to be practiced as meditative and proprietary rites, a more knowledge centered understanding began to emerge. These were mystical aspects of Vedic religion that focused on meditation, self discipline, and spiritual connectivity more than traditional ritualism. The more abstruse Vedant is the essence of the Vedas as encapsulated in the Upanishad. Vedantic thought drew on Vedic cosmology, hymns, and philosophy. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is believed to have appeared as far back as 3000 years ago, while 13 or so Upanishads are accepted as principle, over 100 exist. The most significant contribution of Vedantic thought is the idea that self consciousness is continuous with and indistinguishable from consciousness of Brahma. The aphorisms of the Vedant Sutra are presented in cryptic, poetic style which allows for a variety of interpretations. The Vedanta separated into 6 sub-schools, each interpreting the text in its own way and producing its own series of sub-commentaries. Advait literally means non-duality. This is the oldest and most widely acknowledged Vedantic school. Its first great consolidator was Adi Shankaracharya from 788 CCE to 820 CE. Vishisht Advait of Ramanujacharya from 1037 to 1137 CE was the foremost proponent of the philosophy of Vishisht Advait or qualified non-dualism. Dvait Vedant, the dualistic conclusion of the Ved school of philosophy, was founded by Madhavacharya of 1238 to 1317 CE. Dvait Advait Bheda Bhed was proposed by Nimbarka, a 13th century Vaishnava philosopher from the Andhra region. Shuddha Advait is a purely non-dual philosophy propounded by Vallabhacharya from 1479 to 1531 CE. Achintya Bheda Bhed of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 1486 to 1534 followed the Dvait concept. The heteros school of Indian philosophy, schools that do not accept the authority of Vedas or unorthodox Gnostic system. The following schools belong to the heterodox schools of Indian philosophy: Charvaka, Jain, and Buddhist school. Charvak philosophy, also known as Lokayat, Charvak is characterized as a materialistic and atheist school of thought. Its founder was Charvak, author of the Brahaspati Shastra in final century BC. The original texts have been lost, and our understanding of them is based largely on criticism of the ideas by other schools. As early as 5th century, Sadaniti and Buddhaghosa connected the Lokayats with the Vitandas or Sophists, and the term Charvak was first recorded in 7th century by the philosopher Purandara and in the 8th century by Kamal Sila and Haribhadra. Jain philosophy. Already in existence by the 6th century BC, it was revived by Mahavira, the 24th Jain Tirthankara. According to Jainism, Nirvana or liberation is obtained through three jewels: right philosophy, right knowledge, and right conduct, which is called Triratna. Right conduct implies five abstinences: not to lie, not to steal, not to strive for luxury, and not to strive for possessions, not to be unchaste, and not to injure, ahimsa. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to the video to motivate me, share it with others, and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Buddhist philosophy. It is a system of philosophy based on the teaching of Siddhartha Gautam. Buddhism is a non-theistic philosophy whose tenets are not specially concerned with the existence or non-existence of God. The Four Noble Truths in Buddhism are the following: there is suffering, there is a cause of suffering, there is cessation of suffering, and there is a way to cessation of suffering. Buddhist philosophy of life to get nirvana from suffering is based on the following eight principles: right faith or samyak drishti, right resolve or samyak sankalp, right speech or samyak vyakya, right action or samyak karma, right living or samyak ajiv, right thought or samyak smriti, right concentration or samyak samadhi, right effort samyak vyayam. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.